As January enters into the picture, we all know that means it's playoff time. And of course, we're going to be breaking down Ezekiel Elliott's film today with the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a big matchup this week against the Seattle Seahawks, and they have one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league right now, earning himself another rushing title this year. So what better else to do than go and break down some of Ezekiel Elliott rushes from this year and see how he earned this title for himself and see how he can continue this domination come playoff time against Bobby Wagner leading the Seattle Seahawks defense. It's going to be a fun breakdown today, so stay tuned. Let's get into the film breakdown. Taking a look at the first play, we're going to be going back towards week 3 to watch this matchup against the Cowboys and the Seahawks. And on this play, the Cowboys will be running a pin and pull concept. It all starts with the left tackle, Tyron Smith. Left tackle Tyron Smith will be delivering the pin block or the down block on the 3 tag. And then the tight end next to him will have a bob block on number 95, the defensive end, just kind of like a solo block. And then the left guard and center will pull around the formation to kick out 56 and also lead block onto the safety, number 30. On the backside, we'll see Zach Martin, the right guard, reach his nose tackle kind of like on a solo block. And then left tackle Elliot will kind of like a hinge block. Just make sure nothing crashes into his inside gap and make sure that defensive end outside of him doesn't crash down the line of scrimmage for a tackle for a loss. So, of course, as we see at the snap of the ball, the picture looks pretty nice. We got a great kick-out block on number 56. We have a great lead puller on number 30. But there's one glaring issue. Bobby Wagner is coming scot-free. And having Bobby Wagner come scot-free like this man doesn't miss tackles. He's going to get a tackle here. This all came from one thing, is that this play didn't design anybody to climb to Bobby Wagner. And as we see at the backside here, right guard Zach Martin is caught up on blocking air, really. His nose tackle slanted back to Leo Collins. This has made Bobby Wagner kind of already flow towards the pullers. In this play, Zach Martin should have climbed up to Bobby Wagner. If he did, this play would have busted off for a huge gain. Main reason why is because there's great blocks by Tyron Smith pancaking his 3 tag. The tight end had a great solo block, and the pullers had 2 phenomenal blocks, lead blocking on the safety and kicking out number 56. Give Ezekiel Elliott this gaping hole and block Bobby Wagner. This will be an easy playoff game, but it'll be an easy rushing attack for Ezekiel Elliott every year, all year. Taking a look at this next play, we're going to be seeing the Cowboys run inside zone against the Buccaneers. And this play is, of course, we can just talk about how Ezekiel Elliott got an 11-yard gain, blah, blah, blah. But today we're going to be highlighting the offensive line's movement here and how the double teams worked perfectly and just the great run blocking this offensive line can deliver. So as you see, it's paused right now. Let's go over the blocking responsibilities, starting with Tyron Smith, the left tackle. He'll have a solo block or a bob block on number 90, the defensive end. And then the center and the left guard will have a combo block on Vita Vea up to number 59. And then the right tackle and right guard, Leo Collins and Zach Martin, will have another double team commonly called the slip on Gerald McCoy up to number 53. And then finally, the 2 tight ends will have bob blocks or solo blocks and the defenders across from them. So at the snap of the ball, we see just a great picture here. Leo Collins and Zach Martin do a great job moving Gerald McCoy up into the secondary level, taking him to their double team responsibility. As we see, by doing that, it opens up a gaping hole. Leo Collins stays on his defender, Gerald McCoy, overtaking as Zach Martin breaks off to seal off number 53, that middle linebacker. By doing this, like I said, it creates a gaping hole of 2 to 3 yards that you can see as this picture's frozen right here that Zeke already sees, and he's putting his foot on the ground to cut through for a huge gain. And then the tight end also is delivering a great block, as we see that's highlighted here. Just barely blocking the defender, just getting enough of him to leave that hole open for a split second for Zeke to burst through for a huge gain. This is why we see the Cowboys having so much success off this play, is that they get great double team movements. Leo Collins run blocks on the backside, amazingly opening up huge holes for Ezekiel Elliott to rush over any team. And they get this kind of movement this weekend against the Seahawks, or get this kind of movement in any game, you're going to see Zeke bust out 10 to 15-yard runs every play, because Zeke has that vision and quickness to make plays happen, and giving him gaping holes of 2 to 3 yards every play. It'll be fun to watch him play, especially come this weekend against the Seahawks. It's always fun to watch any week to see Ezekiel Elliott run the ball. Just one of the most talented running backs in the league, paired with one of the most amazing offensive lines. Week in and week out, he puts a show on, and that's why he's earned it. So wrapping up those last 2 plays we broke down, obviously this team's elite. Obviously this team can run the ball better than pretty much any organization in the league, arguably up there with the Ravens and the Seahawks. But let's more so finish this video off on discussing how this team can keep winning and how this team can keep booking their ticket in the playoffs and surviving in the playoffs. So like I said, Zeke, elite running back, has great vision, great speed, can make plays on any team, anytime, just no matter what week it is. He's a playmaker, and he can lead this team to a victories by himself. but also, as we saw, the offensive line on their double team movements is absolutely phenomenal. Lil Collins is an amazing blocker. Tyron Smith, when healthy, can play phenomenal. Zach Martin's one of the best. Of course, they lost Travis Frederick this year. Throw him in the mix up. That's a very elite offensive line moving forward into next year and the years after that. But kind of specifically focus a little bit more on this week and how they can win in the playoffs. They play the Seahawks this week, and as we saw, we broke down the Week 3 matchup against the Cowboys and the Seahawks, and of course, these teams are completely different. Seahawks won't have Earl Thomas. Amari Cooper's there after they traded for him, of course, so the offense is different and the defense is different for both these teams. So as we saw, like I said, we broke down the pin and pull concept. This team gave up great blocks. Their pullers are amazing. Their solo blocks, their bob blocks, everything works perfectly. There's just that one small issue that sometimes they don't get on the same page, or maybe it's not schemed up perfectly. Maybe it's the coaching side, maybe it's the player side. Who knows for sure? Of course, if you're in the organization, you understand like the actual blocking assignments. Maybe the puller should have went up to that linebacker, or maybe Zach Martin should have climbed. Whatever it may be, if the offensive line gets on the same page and they don't let up that one mistake, you see time in and time out, there's 10 to 15 yard lanes that are opened up for Ezekiel Elliott. Just gaping holes that this line makes for him. Sometimes when there's that small mistake, it'll cost them only a 2 to 3 yard gain instead of that 10 yard gain. Of course, that can be a drive killer. If they can get more consistent on the ground, which they have done later in the season so far. But if they do consistently this weekend, and then next weekend, and then the weekend after that, and into the next couple years, as this line starts to gel together a little bit more, you're going to see Ezekiel Elliott continue to win more and more rushing titles, because this offensive line is elite. It's one of the best offensive lines in the league. They play phenomenally. They run block phenomenally. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott is a phenomenal running back. As we saw, give him that small hole, let him use his vision, let him make a couple plays in the secondary. He'll burst out for a touchdown or 20-yard gain, whatever it may be. So, of course, just kind of finish up that point, what I'm getting at is that if this offensive line stays on the same page with each other and get more chemistry together, it's going to be a phenomenal year. It's going to be a phenomenal year any year for this Cowboys team, as long as they get their chemistry sorted out. That's the biggest thing. So moving on from that, we're going to be kind of more looking at the side of trying to see how they can win this weekend, but that's just going to be like an example against the Seahawks. So the Seahawks, for an example, they have a very good run-stopping linebacker, Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner is one of the most elite middle linebackers in the league, if not the elite middle linebacker in the league. So as we saw in that Buccaneers matchup that we broke down earlier in the video, of the double team movement up into the second level, this is obvious. If you get your linemen into the second level and drive their double teams into the second level, you'll win any and every game. Of course, that's not an easy task to do, but if they do that, especially this weekend against Bobby Wagner, and get that double team movement up into him and get Bobby Wagner caught up in that garbage, then Ezekiel Elliott's going to bust out huge gains like we saw in that Buccaneers video clip. He busts out like a 12-yard gain because Lil Collins and Zach Martin got that great movement on Gerald McCoy. Overall, if this offensive line keeps working together and keeps driving these defenders off the ball, getting them into the second level, they will win. Any team will win if their offensive line plays like that. But the Cowboys have the best shot at having that happen because they have Zach Martin. They have Lil Collins. Just amazing run blockers. So as long as this team stays focused on their double teams and keeps driving on their double teams, digging the defensive line out of their holes up into the second level, they'll win. And they will especially win this week if they can get and dig out the three techs, the nose tackles, whatever it may be, up into the second level and get up onto Bobby Wagner. You block Bobby Wagner, you get your offensive lineman into the second level, you'll win. And that's how the Cowboys will win games, is by just overall dominating defensive linemen and dominating the second level of defenses. So finally, wrapping up the final point of the video, we're going to kind of be taken away from the offensive side of the ball. We're going to be more so looking at the defensive side of the ball and how they can win in games. So of course, you've seen this all year long. They've had another successful year, having a winning record, making the playoffs, so it's not really a big secret. The way they win games is they stop the run and they control the clock. So offensively, they control the clock by running the ball and just controlling the flow of the game, because when you run the ball, the clock's going to keep ticking. You're going to let your defense rest up. You're going to keep the other team's offense off the field. So that's the first way how they win. We've already kind of discussed that. They do that with Ezekiel Elliott and the great run blocking. But how do they consistently keep winning? It's because of their defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, those two alone help that front seven. Because Leighton Vander Esch is a great run-stopping linebacker. He's a great player to kind of play in coverage also. But by having Leighton Vander Esch there to stop the run, that defensive line stops the run, stuffs every run, that creates a little bit of an issue, because then teams are going to have to drop back and pass. And dropping back to pass when you have a pass rusher like DeMarcus Lawrence, it makes it so much easier on your cornerbacks. Having an elite pass rusher as DeMarcus Lawrence getting after the quarterback and making that quarterback feel pressured, if they do that, it's going to force balls out quickly. It's going to make it easier on the secondary. It's going to have, especially when you have Jalen Smith in the secondary, flying around sideline to sideline as a player and finally becoming fully healthy. This team's young and it's constantly developing year in and year out. So you saw even weekly they've developed to get better and better. This defense, Leighton Vander Esch is playing phenomenal. Jalen Smith is finally fully healthy. DeMarcus Lawrence is just doing his thing pass rushing. It's absolutely fun to watch this team play. And if they keep this up, they're going to be an elite team for years to come. I think this year won't be their year, but come next year and the years in out, as this defense starts to develop more and get more mature, as Leighton Vander Esch kind of develops more into a solid linebacker, and then hopefully if Sean Lee stays healthy with Jalen Smith, that's going to be one of the best linebacking cores in the league. And if you have a crew like that with DeMarcus Lawrence rushing the passer, I think you'll have no problem. And that's how they're going to win the game this weekend. They can stop the run, control the game, get a little bit of a lead going, and make Russell Wilson drop back in the pocket 30 to 40 times in this game to try to kind of pick back up the lead. DeMarcus Lawrence is come in and he's going to feast on them. And if Leighton Vander Esch can stop the run and Sean Lee can cover the pass and Jalen Smith can cover the pass, I think this team has no fear in winning this game this week. Of course, it's going to become more difficult matchups after this week, but just win each game, win game by game, don't look too far forward. This team's on the up and up. This defense is young. It's a monstrous team that can develop into a... So wrapping all of that up, those three major points there: stop the run, rush the passer, get the double team movements, play on the same page as the offensive line unit, and have Ezekiel Elliott use his elite burst and vision. Those 3 points, that's what's going to lead this Cowboys team to a victory week in and week out on each yearly basis. And it all starts with Ezekiel Elliott. Then it goes to the defense, and then it goes to the offensive line. If all 3 of those boxes are checked off, this team's going to be an elite team, and it should be a team that will be feared by the league. So overall, that'll wrap up the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown of Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be dropping another film breakdown here in the next couple days, discussing more of the playoff teams and discussing just some free agency. Who knows yet? If you guys have any suggestions, leave it in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.